Part 3. God is Spirit. God is the law within man himself. In my first blog about religion, I began a scientific description of the fourth creator that has so beautifully and intelligently arranged our world. I also tried to offer my listeners a new way of organizing some aspect of our lives. These conclusions were drawn on the basis of my research into the true God and do not contradict the achievements of modern science. In my previous two blogs about religion, I tried to explain the following reasons. Primitive people began to arise psychological experiences associated with the inevitability of death. From here, ideas about the afterlife and resurrection emerged. Belief in God and immortality helps a person to more easily enjoy their inherent psychological experiences as well as life's disagreements. All parts of the universe are interconnected by laws that operate continuously. Therefore, we can call God the law. Everything is constantly changing. That is, our Creator continues to work continuously. Some think that God operates with the help of supernatural forces. Why does He need all this? Many real laws of God already operate in the world around us. We have learned such a simple law in which we saw the mind of God, which is still at work in human society. God allowed people to make decisions only within the framework of other laws established by Him. Any voluntarism is necessarily and severely punished. Next, we will consider the following. Everything in the world happens in strict accordance with laws, and each law can be described with the help of information. In addition, there was a whole history of geological and evolutionary development, which could also be described with the help of information, which was then still recorded with the help of geology, fossil remains. But at first, most of it was shrouded in mystery, as there were no living organisms on Earth for a long time. After their appearance, much information was recorded in genes and transmitted in reflex mechanism. Only with the advent of man did more and more information begin to be discovered and recorded, but much still remains unknown. God the Spirit, this and is the informational and spiritual part of God. God the Spirit himself consists of two parts. One part of God the Spirit is the information of the God that we do not know. These are also manifestations of those laws and forces that we do not know about, but feel or can feel their influence. This information of the God the Spirit will be called the unknown God the Spirit. The second part of God the Spirit is information that is known to people. This includes religion, culture, science, theater, cinema, television, literature, music, songs, art, computer science, management, laws of coexistence, electronic communication system, the total intelligence of humanity, and other types of spiritual life. We live in a time when information is becoming increasingly important in the world. We are surrounded by an ocean of ether filled with information. We live in a certain cultural environment, civilization. All this system and informatic has depictions, sounds, records, but the essence of spirit is that this information perceived by our consciousness through a second signaling system. That is why God the Spirit is invisible. We must listen attentively to the unknown God the Spirit, so as not to fall victim of His wrath. The unknown God the Spirit can be angry. He is all around us. He is not visible. God the Spirit is invisible, but we want of danger with minor manifestations. Sometimes there is a little time left. If we are attentive and sober, we can notice his warning and do something to eliminate the danger. If we communicate with God the Lord through all our sense organs, with God the Spirit through consciousness and language, then prayer is a special feature of communication with the unknown God the Spirit. God the Law and God the Spirit are parts of the one God. They are connected to each other, but they are also separate, each in itself. God the Law is the basis of God the Spirit, and God the Spirit is the mind of God the Law. Man continues a special part work of God, the informational and spiritual part. God continues His work through people, through each of us. We are all partial, but unequal carriers of His power, His perfection, His mind. This is a great happiness and a great responsibility. God the Law and God the Spirit are also found in man himself. These are those parts of him that do not obey man himself, his will. Such parts are the soul and conscience. God the Law is in man himself. What is it such? The inner God the Law of man. The man himself, all his parts, all his organs operate according to certain immutable laws. Even if we know a lot about the organs of our organism, we cannot rule most of them. The inner God the Law, which is part of the God the Law, controls most of the processes of our organism. And what is it called? The inner God the Law of man. The soul. Here what is the inner God the Law of man? The soul gives life to a person. The soul is located in every living cell of a person. Each cell is alive and works as a separate laboratory, but it is not subordinate to the person himself. The main thing that unite cells is blood, and we feel the soul in the heart because a living heart is filled with living blood. The information or program of the activity of each cell is in the gene chain, already familiar to us, and works with the help of the laws of God. Thank you for your attention to my sad blog about religion. More to come.